a very good afternoon to all our participants and respected seniors and dear friends. I thank Dr. Sharda Jain ma'am to give the honor and the privilege to host this EDGF meetings. There is a great unmet need of family planning. Almost 21% as per the DLHS 3 survey in 2008, that was long time back, and still there was an unmet need which was found to be as high as 21%. And the problem today is compounded by the present pandemic. And we must know that the investment in the family planning can reduce the maternal mortality by almost 35%. Contraceptive use among married women is only 56%, that was according to the NFHS survey. So we must be sure about the contraceptive measures. We should be effective in our counseling. We should strengthen our resources. And at the same time, we should be updated with the recent guidelines. There have been a recent evidence available in the literature. WIS has modified the guidelines which are available with us, and we have more contraceptive choices available. We are more equipped with the tools with which we can effectively deliver our services, as well as we can tailor our contraceptive pills which are available with us and put it to the judicious use for the contraception and manage our patients in a better way. So with this, I make this meeting open, and I request Dr. Seema Gupta to please come and start the meeting proceedings. Dr. Seema Gupta, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Thank you, Dr. Meenakshi.
Okay.
Good afternoon, all my seniors and colleagues and all my friends. Thank you, Dr. Meenakshi, Dr. Sharda Jain ma'am, and all my seniors for giving me this opportunity. Today, we are going to discuss the topic on oral contraceptives. It is a very pertinent topic today, especially ahead of the World Population Day that we are having on the 11th of July. So the first lecture is on the role of combined oral contraceptives in women's health. And the chairpersons for this session are Dr. Jyoti Agarwal ma'am and Dr. Angela Aneja. Can I have the slide, Dr. Meenakshi, for Dr. Jyoti ma'am? Dr. Jyoti Agarwal ma'am is the past president of our forum. She's the director and consultant at Lifecare Center, Lifecare IVF, a gold medalist throughout her academic career. She's an expert in infertility ultrasound, colposcopy, and thermal ablation. She has received many awards and appreciation certificates. Next, we have Dr. Angela ma'am. Dr. Angela Aneja. A slide, please. Yeah, she is the president of the Delhi Gynae Forum South. She is the director and head minimal access surgery, Fortis Memorial Institute, Gurgaon. She is also the director of obstetrics and gynae at Fortis LaFemme. She's a chairperson AOGD endometriosis subcommittee. She has held various other posts in various other organizations. Welcome, Dr. Angela ma'am.
Thank you.
The speaker for today's session first is Dr. Renu Chawla ma'am, alumni of Lady Hardinge Medical College. She is the present Joint Secretary of Delhi Gynae Forum East. She is a practicing obstetrician and gynecologist and a very keen interest in high risk.
Photographs.
I request Dr. Angela Aneja ma'am to please introduce the speaker and the topic today. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. The first session of today is role of combined oral contraceptive in women's health, which will be taken by Dr. Renu Chawla. You know, there is so much of advances which are happening nowadays, and we all know the family planning things have definitely gone for a 6 during this COVID pandemic. So, you know, whether it's the women who were already on oral contraceptive pills, they were continuing it. But if they have to come for another methods, whether it's a permanent or for a COPD, they have definitely suffered. So, you know, we recently attended a webinar that was by AOGD on a contraception, and I think the East is doing this now, and we will be doing next month. You know, it's so important to know the recent stuff, what is happening. The WHO has come out with a good protocol on contraception. You know, in our days, we need to look into it if there's any problem into our books, then the Google came into it. Now there is the contraceptive, which I realize is such a everybody should have it in their offices. So if there is any disease, you pick up that disease and then you see what contraception methods you can give it. So I think it's very important for all of us to know about this wheel and to have that with us, so that we will be able to help any woman who needs oral contraceptives for any particular disease, so there's no need to look at everything. So I think today it's on a woman's health. So we all know oral contraceptive pills not only is useful in contraception, it helps a woman in other different ways in regulating her periods, to decrease her menstrual blood loss. So what dose estrogen we should start, what progestogens is better, which is given in what disease. I think Dr. Renu is going to cover that, and let's look forward what she's going to say. So Dr. Renu Chawla, this is all for you now.
Good afternoon, everyone. At the outset, I'd like to thank Madam Dr. Sharda Jain, Dr. Jyoti Bhaskar, and Dr. Meenakshi Sharma for giving me this opportunity today. I'm going to talk about oral contraceptives today.
Ma'am, you need to minimize the screen. You do not need to open it again.
I want to minimize this. I cannot see the slide completely.
Ma'am, you can just left click on it and drag it out of your field of view. Keep the left mouse button pressed.
This role of combined oral contraceptives in women's reproductive health. We'll be covering this topic under the following headings: understand the potential role of oral contraceptive pills in women's reproductive life, and we'll review the literature on long-term efficacy and tolerability of ethinyl estradiol desogestrel. The case scenarios will be taken by the next speakers. Combined oral contraceptive pills, an overview. Combined estrogen progestin oral contraceptives, also known as birth control pills, they provide reliable contraception as well as several non-contraceptive benefits are there. COCs act by causing suppression of ovulation, by inhibition of GnRH from hypothalamus, also by suppression of LH and FSH. Medical eligibility criteria wheel for contraceptive use, India 2015. It recommends the following contraceptives, gives the choice of following contraceptives for the patient to be used, that is intrauterine devices, progestin-only contraceptives, combined hormonal contraceptives, emergency contraceptive pills, barrier contraceptive methods, fertility awareness-based methods, lactational amenorrhea method, coitus interruptus, and female and male sterilization. Effectiveness of family planning methods is judged by their failure rates. Most effective are the methods with less than one pregnancy per 100 women in a year. These methods can be reversible or permanent. In the reversible methods, we have implants with a failure rates of 0.05%, intrauterine devices in the form of copper T or LNG IUCD. Copper T has a failure rate of 0.8%, whereas LNG has only 0.2% failure rate. Permanent methods, we have male and female sterilizations. Female sterilizations can be done either abdominally, laparoscopically, or hysteroscopically with a failure rates of 0.5%, whereas male sterilization has a very less failure rate of 0.15%. If patient has opted for male sterilization or hysteroscopic female sterilization, then she should be counseled to use another method for at least first 3 months. The methods with the failure rates of 6 to 12 pregnancies per 100 women in a year are reversible methods like injectables, showing a failure rate of 6%. If we need better results with these methods, then the repeat injections should be taken on time. Similarly, pills have 9% failure rate, so patients should be instructed to take pills regularly each day. With the patch and ring, failure rates are also 9%, but if they are used properly and they are kept in place, their failure rates can be reduced. Diaphragm should be used properly and to avoid its failure rate of 12%. 18 or more pregnancies per 100 women in a year is seen with male condom, which show 18% failure rates, female condoms 21%. Withdrawal method has 22% failure rate. Sponge, if used by nulliparous women, 12%. Parous women show 24% failure rate. Spermicides, 28%. Fertility awareness-based methods show 24%. Dynamics of oral contraceptive use. In the National Family Health Survey, it has been seen that only 4% of the patients use oral contraceptive pills in India, whereas globally 8% of people are using these methods. And with this chart, we can also see that non-users is a large population. Almost 46% of the couples do not use any methods. So this is the population which we need to counsel so that more contraceptives are used. The window of opportunity for contraception counseling is in the antenatal clinic, in the labor ward, in the postnatal ward, in the postpartum care clinic, in the baby immunization clinic, family planning services, OPDs, and emergency care and HIV/AIDS services. The estrogen component of oral contraceptive pills. COCs contain estrogen and progesterone. Estradiol is the major estrogen secreted by the ovaries, however, is of low potency when given orally. The addition of an ethynyl group at the 17th position, ethynyl estradiol, makes the molecules highly orally active. Two widely used estrogen components are ethynyl estradiol and mestranol. Nearly all modern COC pills contain 20 micrograms to 35 micrograms of ethynyl estradiol. 20 microgram provides high efficiency and acceptable bleeding pattern, not significantly different from that of oral contraceptives with a higher content of ethynyl estradiol. The dose of estrogen, therefore, is a critical issue because risk of thrombosis increases with higher dose of estrogen and efficacy diminishes with a reduction in estrogen dose. The dose of estrogen, therefore, is a critical issue. Over the years, a successive decrease in estrogen dose has occurred, and modern pills contain 10 to 30 micrograms of ethynyl estradiol. Progestin component of oral contraceptives. Pills containing levonorgestrel or norethisterone have been used since 1960. The first and second generation progestogen contained norethisterone and levonorgestrel. They tend to exhibit androgenic actions, counterbalancing the estrogenic activity. Third generation progestogens such as gestodine and desogestrel are structurally related to progesterone, so they are greater specificity to progesterone receptors. Also, they have a reduced potential for androgenic, estrogenic, and glucocorticoid effects. Fourth generation progesterones, that is drospirenone, it is a spironolactone analog with mild diuretic effects, so it is more important to be used in patients with PCOS. Cyproterone acetate has anti-androgenic effects, so it is beneficial in women with severe acne. Classification of progestins used in combined oral contraceptive pills. Their generations have been decided according to their years of discovery and their levels of anti-androgenic activities and more progestogenic activities. The widely used ultra-low dose COCs are the ones containing levonorgestrel and ethynyl estradiol, desogestrel and ethynyl estradiol, with the advantage that desogestrel has a long half-life of approximately 30 hours. Drospirenone and ethynyl estradiol, they are more useful. These pills are more useful in patients with acne and seborrhea, like skin conditions. Categories of hormonal contraceptives, they can be combined hormonal contraceptives, that is COC, progestin-only contraceptives, or emergency contraceptive pills. Combined hormonal contraceptive pills are to be taken daily, irrespective of intercourse. They release a low dose of both estrogen and progesterone into the bloodstream. They can be monophasic, that means all the tablets contain same hormone dose to be taken daily, irrespective of intercourse. They can be multiphasic, which require more careful adherence to sequential order depending on the period of the cycle.
Ma'am, if you receive an annotation request, please cancel it.
And I have cancelled it. Progesterone only contraceptives, they are to be taken daily. They are also to be taken daily, irrespective of intercourse. They release a low dose of progestin into the bloodstream. They are safe in breastfeeding women. Emergency contraceptive pills are used to prevent pregnancy after unprotected sexual intercourse or contraceptive accident, that like something like rape or when their regular method fails. So emergency contraceptive pills containing LNG taken as a single dose of 1.5 milligrams or LNG taken in 2 doses of 0.75 milligram 12 hours apart. High dose combined estrogen and progesterone can be taken where no other method is available. But the disadvantage with this method is that more number of tablets are to be taken, and similarly the side effects are more. Ulipristal acetate in a dose of 30 milligrams is to be taken only once. It is a progesterone receptor modulator. Insertion of a copper IUD can also be used as an emergency contraception. And lastly, mifepristone has also been tried, but its wide use is not right now available in India. The slides are not moving either.
Now just left click the slide once and then you'll be able to use the arrow keys again.
When to start COC? A woman can start COC at any time she wants if pregnancy can be ruled out with certainty. It is called quick start method. An alternative is Sunday start approach. With these two options, the pill is often started more than 5 days after the onset of menses. Backup contraception for first 7 days of the cycle is required. If the woman is not ready to use backup contraception, then she should be advised to start pills from first day of the cycle. Cyclic versus extended cycle versus continuous use of COCs are available depending upon the patient preference as to bleed every month or every 3 months, that is 84/7 formulations, or no withdrawal she wants for almost 365 days. Quick start method. Suppose the patient requests to start contraception with the pill, patch, ring or injection and she's visited you for the first time. So a detailed history is to be taken, examination is to be done, and urine for pregnancy test needs to be done. If it is positive, then patient is to be counseled whether she wants to continue the pregnancy or she wants to undergo MTP. If her pregnancy test is negative and she has visited you in less than 7 days from her first day of LMP, then start the method today. You can start the method immediately. Patient should use backup method for first week. If she has visited you after 7 days and her episode of unprotected sexual intercourse was in less than 5 days, so emergency contraception can be offered to her immediately. And if she has come to you after 5 days of unprotected sexual intercourse, then counsel the patient that negative pregnancy test is not conclusive, hormonal contraception will not harm the fetus, and patient wants to start new method today, then start the method today unless patient is using ulipristal for emergency or contraception method chosen is implant. Because if she has chosen implant, then she has to visit again. Patient should use backup method for first week. And then urine pregnancy test is to be repeated after 2 weeks. If suppose after 2 weeks urine pregnancy test is positive, then she needs to be counseled again whether she wants to continue with the pregnancy or not. And if it is negative, then whatever method she was using, she can continue with the same method. Suppose she has visited you more than 5 days after her first day of LMP and she doesn't want to use any contraception at that time, then counsel the patient to use a backup method until next menses. Choose the method. If the chosen method is pill, patch or ring, offer prescription for the chosen method. Counsel the patient to start method within 5 days of the first day of next menstrual period. Chosen method is injection or implant, then she has to visit again for implant insertion or injection within 5 days of the next period. The provider can reasonably be certain that the patient is not pregnant if she has no symptoms or signs of pregnancy and meets any of the following criteria. Like the patient has not had intercourse since last menstrual normal menses, the patient has been correctly and consistently using a reliable method of contraception, the patient is within the first 7 days from the first day of menstrual bleeding, the patient is within 4 weeks postpartum and is not lactating, the patient is within first 7 days post-abortion or miscarriage, and the patient is fully or nearly fully breastfeeding, amenorrheic, and less than 6 months postpartum. Administration and use of COCs. Hormonal contraception can be safely provided to any of the patients after a detailed medical history of ruling out all the contraindications as listed here. Blood pressure needs to be measured for all the patients and documentation of BMI should be there. Pelvic examination, breast examination, pap smear and screening for STI is not required for all patients. It has to be done whenever it is required. Return of menses after stopping COCs. This is of concern, especially for the patients who use extended cycle or who use contraceptive pills for a longer time. For many women, menses return within 30 days after stopping the pill. Almost all women experience return of menses and fertility by 90 days after cessation of COCs. Women who do not menstruate 3 months after stopping the pill should undergo evaluation for secondary amenorrhea. Contraindications for COCs: if the age of the patient is more than equal to 35 years, if there is a history of DVT or pulmonary embolism, cerebrovascular or coronary artery disease, CA breast or other estrogen-dependent neoplasia, if there is undiagnosed abnormal genital tract bleeding, known or suspected pregnancy, benign or malignant liver tumors, uncontrolled hypertension, if she is a heavy smoker, if she has migraine with aura, or complicated diabetes of more than 20 years duration, or systemic lupus erythematosus. Side effects and management. If she has irregular and unexplained bleeding, evaluate the cause. Reassure her and instruct her to take pill at the same time. For short-term relief, NSAIDs or hemostatic agents can be given. If there is no relief, then we should change the OCs. If she complains of amenorrhea, history of regular intake has to be reassured and continue COC. If there is history of missed pills, then pregnancy needs to be ruled out. If she has nausea and dizziness, she should be instructed to take pills at the bedtime. For breast tenderness, breast support, cold compresses and analgesics are of use. If she has acne, then a different formulation of COC can be prescribed. Normally, there are no weight changes seen with the use of COCs, but if she complains of weight changes, then review her diet and counsel her and may switch to 4th generation COCs. Missed pills. If a patient has missed 1 to 2 pills or has started a new pack 1 to 2 days late, then tell her to take 2 pills at the scheduled time. Reassure her because there is very little risk of pregnancy with this 1 or 2 missed pills. If she has missed 3 pills or more in first or second week of the cycle or has started new pack 3 or more days late, then tell her to take 1 pill as soon as possible and continue scheduled pills as it is. Use backup method for next 7 days. Emergency contraception is to be given if there is history of unprotected sexual intercourse within last 72 hours. If she has missed 3 pills or more in 3rd week, tell her to take 1 pill as soon as possible and finish all pills in the pack as scheduled. Throw away 7 non-hormonal pills and start new pack next day. Use backup contraception for 7 days. Emergency contraception is to be given if unprotected sexual intercourse within 72 hours has occurred. If there is severe vomiting or diarrhea, if the patient has vomiting within 2 hours after taking the pill, she is instructed to take another pill as soon as possible and continue rest of the pills as it is. If the vomiting persists for more than 2 days, then she's given same instructions as we give for 1 to 2 missed pills to the patients. Combined hormonal contraceptives. Women on combined oral contraceptives showed high continuation rates compared to progestin-only pills. And 3rd generation COCs are less likely to be discontinued versus 2nd generation COCs. Non-contraceptive benefits of COCs. There is reduction in dysmenorrhea, pelvic pain related to endometriosis, reduction in menorrhagia with improvement in iron deficiency anemia. There is a reduction in the risk of ectopic pregnancy and symptoms associated with premenstrual syndrome and premenstrual dysphoric disorder. There is reduction in risk of benign breast disease as well as development of new ovarian cysts. This is seen with estrogen pills containing higher dosages, which suppress ovulation, but there is no effect on existing ovarian cysts. There is reduction in the ovarian cancer, including some hereditary forms, such as those associated with mutation in the BRCA1 or BRCA2 gene, presumably due to inhibition of ovarian stimulation. There is reduction in endometrial cancer due to the progestin effect. Colorectal cancer also shows a decline trend. There is also reduction in moderate acne and hirsutism, and the periods become more regular. Ethinyl estradiol, desogestrel, it is a reliable contraceptive with long-term efficacy and tolerability. It has been seen that ethinyl estradiol and desogestrel treatment was effective was more effective than ethinyl estradiol and levonorgestrel in decreasing the number of acne and severity of hirsutism. The acceptability of pills containing desogestrel and ethinyl estradiol was much more, 90%, as compared to 71% with the tablets containing LNG and ethinyl estradiol. Acceptability of desogestrel and ethinyl estradiol was much more, and over a period of 5 years, no noticeable weight change was observed with these tablets when patient was taking these tablets. Ethinyl estradiol and desogestrel has good acceptability as shown in the following data, 95.6% versus 1.7%. Women with the desogestrel group showed lower incidence of breast tenderness and nausea than those using drospirenone. Also, there was a positive trend shown in the symptoms of premenstrual syndrome with the patients taking desogestrel. Ethinyl estradiol desogestrel a reliable contraceptive efficacy. Spotting breakthrough bleeding and increased withdrawal bleeding leads to poor compliance, but with this tablet, it has high efficacy with low rates of pregnancy, provides good cycle control with little spotting or breakthrough bleeding, and there is hardly any weight gain which is seen over a period of 5 years. Complete remission of acne in 50% of the women presenting acne at the baseline. So ethinyl estradiol and desogestrel provide a reliable contraceptive efficacy, good cycle control, and a low incidence of side effects. Method failure was seen only in 0.04% of the cases. So the monophasic oral contraceptives containing ethinyl estradiol and desogestrel was found to be very reliable. There was no consistent change in fasting blood glucose and insulin levels with ethinyl estradiol and desogestrel. About 90% of the subjects receiving ethinyl estradiol and desogestrel maintained regular cycles. So in summary, an oral contraceptive containing ethinyl estradiol and desogestrel is beneficial in terms of cycle control, high progesterone selectivity, and low intrinsic activity. No noticeable change in body weight after 5 years of usage. There was no significant change in glucose metabolism. It was helpful in maintaining regular menstrual cycle in almost 90% of the subjects with low rates of breakthrough bleeding. It was associated with low incidence of side effects such as headache, breast tenderness, and nausea. A very reliable and acceptable oral contraceptive. The total use of ethinyl estradiol and desogestrel so far amounts to about 40 million women users, which is a good indication of its acceptability. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Renu.
Chawla. Was it
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Renu, for such a
Yes, Dr. Jyoti ma'am.
crisp talk on. Yes, Dr. Seema. Yeah,
Yes,
I was
carry
just
on,
thanking Dr. Renu for such a crisp talk on contraception. In very short, she has covered everything which a doctor should know, because as far as the statistics goes, what I want to share is that only almost 75% of these newlywed couples don't use any form of contraception because of so many myths, do's and don'ts. And as we doctors, we don't give them time to counsel them. Now that the things are so clear, I think we should spend more time in counseling them so that the myths are cleared. See, only 8% use pills. It is the sterilization which goes as high as 76%, and the discontinuation rate of these 8% is as high as 50%. So we as doctors should try to spend some more time to counsel them, especially the newlyweds, to use more and more of contraception. And today, as Dr. Renu has highlighted, ethinyl estradiol and desogestrel is a very good combination. Minimal side effects, no metabolic effects, no androgenic effects, with almost 100% efficacy. And as far as the lipid profile is concerned, instead of deteriorating, it in fact improves the lipid profile. So it is the pill of preference, and definitely we start using this combination, which is available so freely. The maternal mortality can definitely be reduced almost to a tune of 40%. Thank you, Dr.